COZI TV.
Live from Studio 3C in Rockefeller Center, this is News 4 New York.
Good evening. Welcome to News 4 at 7. I'm John Chandler. Chaos before Christmas. Gunfire rings out in a busy Long Island mall when a man tried to rob a high-end watch store. Shoppers ran for their lives. One mall employee was hit. News 4's Greg Sergel has been on the scene in Garden City all afternoon. He has the first part of our top story at 7.
In one frightening moment, holiday cheer turned to chaos at Roosevelt Field Mall.
I was just scared. I just wanted to get out.
Mall employee Ava Doshi described a stampede of mall shoppers and workers reacting to the sound of gunfire.
I heard pop, pop, and a large smashing sound in the middle of my purchase.
Shopper Mark Smith and 10 others reacted by hiding for over an hour in a store's locked back room. All as a heavily armed Nassau police contingent responded to what turned out to be the attempted robbery of the mall's Torno jewelry store.
During that robbery, the perpetrator fired one shot. That shot injured a mall employee.
Police say it appears the shot was fired as the robber was struggling with store security. The shot apparently traveled outside the jewelry store and hit that 67-year-old mall employee who was standing nearby.
The perpetrator was apprehended. He's in custody of the Nassau County Police Department. The weapon has been recovered.
Through all of this, most of Roosevelt Field remained open, but many stores lowered their security gates as workers and shoppers sought refuge inside.
I feel good, and we're out, and that's great, and I hope the guy that got shot is all right.
Neither the gunman nor the victim have been identified. The victim is said to be in serious but stable condition at an area hospital. And tonight, the NYPD is confirming that an off-duty deputy inspector who was shopping inside Roosevelt Field helped security subdue the gunman after the attempted robbery. We're at Roosevelt Field tonight. Greg Sergel, News 4 New York.
Greg, a terrifying ordeal, and this shooting comes at a tense time, not just because of the holidays, but with recent terror attacks, both overseas and here, fresh in our minds. Still, Long Island officials reassured the public, saying they are ready, trained to handle just about anything that could possibly come their way. News 4's Jackie Beckford continues our team coverage from the scene.
And people who heard that gunshot ring out had no idea that this was not an active shooter situation. They took cover. They ran to the back of stores, hid in closets, inside storage rooms, and that's exactly what police say they should have done. They say they've been training employees here at the mall to guide people to safety while keeping a possible gunman outside. Now, Nassau County Police say they've trained repeatedly for active shooter scenarios inside this mall as mass shootings become more frequent. One thing in particular the training has focused on has been for each store inside the mall to bring down their individual security gates. The thinking there is to keep the shooter out, isolated to the hallways and away from customers and workers.
We have done a number of drills and have a very close relationship with the mall security, so they're well prepared for events like this. We're well prepared for events at this particular mall.
I do think about people committing such crimes because it's just the day and age we live in, but I didn't think it would happen so close, actually.
And Nassau police say it's not just here at Roosevelt Field Mall. They've been doing these trainings at malls around the area. In Garden City, Jackie Beckford, News 4 New York.
And for the latest on this story, you can go to NBCNewYork.com. We also have more information on the News 4 app on your phones. New at 7. We are just learning the Brooklyn Nets and Barclays Center have been sold. Forest City Enterprises announced that Onyx Sports and Entertainment bought controlling interest of both the team and the arena. The team's valued at $875 million, while the arena valued for $825 million. Now, the company is owned by Mikhail Prokhorov. He already owned a percentage of both the team and the arena. The NBA's Board of Governors has approved the transaction, which should be completed early 2016. This is the NYPD detective and Army Sergeant Joseph Lem, just one of 2 New Yorkers killed in a suicide bombing Monday in Afghanistan. News 4's Mark Santia talked with Sergeant Lem's friends and neighbors about the man they loved and the grief they are now feeling.
An American flag flies proudly at Sergeant Joseph Lem's home. Down the street, bittersweet memories and disbelief fill Fred's barbershop in West Harrison.
He was a good man.
Sergeant Lem would often sit in this chair for a haircut. Fred Raguzzi considered him not just a client, but a friend.
Stuff.
It was a tearful reunion 2 years ago when Sergeant Lem returned from a tour in Afghanistan to surprise his wife and 2 children at a singing competition at Westchester Burger in Rybrook.
It was a very touching night. You have 200 people with tears in their eyes.
Restaurant owner Vincent Corso was there that night. He's close to the Lem family.
2 months ago, he was in the restaurants and he came in, and my wife was here, and it was great seeing him again, and he was happy because this was his last tour.
From Westchester to the Bronx, Detective Lem worked for 15 years in the borough as one of New York's finest, most recently at the 5-0 precinct.
It's heartbreaking. He was a Class A good guy.
Here at Barino's Market, the staff grew to know and respect Sergeant Lem. They would even ship their friend care packages full of local specialties.
Little things, cookie, candies, things like that, things that they could, remind them of home.
This banner, once proudly displayed by Sergeant Lem in the mountains of Afghanistan, showing his appreciation to the Bronx market, now rests inside Barino's, along with bittersweet memories and disbelief.
He protected us here, protected us abroad. There's nothing that guy didn't do for us.
Grieving communities are still waiting for the funeral arrangements for both New Yorkers to be made public. In West Harrison, I'm Mark Santia, News 4 New York.
We are learning more about a second soldier from our area killed in yesterday's suicide bombing in Afghanistan. He has been identified as Staff Sergeant Luis Bonacasa. Bonacasa, who is from Manorville, Long Island, was stationed at Stewart Air National Guard Base. His family says this was his 4th and final tour of duty. Bonacasa leaves behind a wife and a 5-year-old daughter. In North Carolina today, Sergeant Bo Bergdahl went before a military judge. He's the soldier who was held by the Taliban for 5 years after he walked off his base in Afghanistan in 2009. Bergdahl faces charges of desertion and misbehavior before the enemy. NBC's Sarah Doloff reports tonight from Fort Bragg.
Good evening. It was a subdued and brief appearance for Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, lasting no more than 15 minutes.
The judge explained Sergeant Bergdahl's right to be tried before a panel or a military judge. The judge also inquired if Sergeant Bergdahl wished to enter any motions or a plea at this time. Sergeant Bergdahl deferred all of these decisions to a later hearing.
His next appearance will be January 12th here at Fort Bragg. Now, as we move forward, his attorneys may push to have this case moved to Texas. Bergdahl has been on desk duty at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas, since he was released by Taliban forces last year as part of a prisoner exchange. His case is in the spotlight right now, not only because the court case is moving forward, but also because of the podcast Serial, in which Bergdahl tells interviewers he willingly left his post as part of an attempt to draw attention to perceived leadership issues with his unit. In Fort Bragg, North Carolina, I'm Sarah Doloff, NBC News.
The driver accused of intentionally hitting dozens of people along the Vegas Strip is now charged with murder, child abuse, and other crimes. Police say Lakeisha Holloway plowed her vehicle into crowds Sunday night, killing one person and injuring dozens of others. Her 3-year-old daughter was in the car at the time, but not hurt. Holloway is being held in jail without bail. She's due back in court tomorrow. A man who loaned the gun that Boston Marathon bombers used to kill a police officer has been sentenced to 17 months that he's already served. Steven Silva pleaded guilty to weapons and drug charges last year. He eventually admitted he loaned a gun to Dzhokhar Tsarnaev before the bombings, but said he had no idea what the Tsarnaev brothers were planning. Silva faced up to 5 years in prison, but prosecutors recommended a reduced sentence, citing his help during Tsarnaev's trial. Much more to get to here tonight on this Tuesday edition of News 4 at 7. A blind Salvation Army bell ringer back on the job tonight after a brutal attack. He tells us what happened and why he will not let it destroy his Christmas spirit. But first, on the campaign trail.
Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton at it again. I'm Edward Lawrence in Washington to show you what the frontrunners said coming up.
Another stomach-churning report on alleged sickening food at a popular chain restaurant. The same chain where dozens of college kids got sick. And Janice Huff is in the Storm Team 4 Weather Center with tonight's forecast. Janice.
A temporary break from the rain tonight, but there's more coming tomorrow. And then it's all about the record temperatures for Christmas Eve. We'll talk more about that and the projections and the forecast coming up next.
And later, do you know this guy? Of course you do. He's Tony Roberts, one of the most prolific actors in Hollywood. Tony is here tonight to talk about his new memoir, Do You Know Me? And how up-and-coming performers can use it to direct their own careers. You want to stick around for that? After this, when News 4 at 7 continues.
Today's traffic report is brought to you by the Jeep Year-End Blockbuster Sales Event going on now.
With great power comes legendary capability. Get a low-mileage lease on the 2016 Jeep Cherokee Latitude 4x4 for $199 a month for well-qualified lessees of competitive vehicles.
Meet the Moores. We're the Moore family, and as you can see, we needed internet that could do more.
We do more games.
And more streaming.
So we need more speed.
That's why we switched to Time Warner Cable.
You can too. Call 1-844-550-4846.
Now we can connect more devices at the same time.
The Wi-Fi in this house is amazing.
For my guacamole.
Hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Look at that. Time Warner Cable even has an internet plan for us.
Get the internet speed that's right for you. From 3 megs to ultra-fast 300 megs.
They even made it easy to switch with a 1-hour arrival window.
Why settle for less when
you can get
more?
Get 50 meg internet for $39.99 per month. Call 1-844-550-4846. You could get free installation, no data cap, and access to over 400,000 TWC Wi-Fi hotspots with select plans. Call now.
Food and shelter. Too many lack these basic necessities. Please donate and help Catholic Charities help our neighbors in need, non-Catholic and Catholic alike. Catholic Charities, providing help, creating hope with dignity and compassion. This is News 4 New York.
Well, the Dow soared triple digits today as oil stabilized, rose 165 points. The Nasdaq jumped 32, and the S&P is up 17. The CDC is investigating another E. coli outbreak linked to Chipotle. This time, health officials say the most recent illnesses started between November 18th and November 26th. It sickened 5 people who ate at the popular burrito chain in North Dakota, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Investigators are still not sure if this is part of the larger E. coli outbreak from October, when dozens of people in 9 states got sick. Mayor Bill de Blasio is set to sign an executive order adding paid parental leave to certain city employees. Government Affairs reporter Melissa Russo explains how this will work and who will qualify.
Sadie Campo-Amor has plenty to sing about today. She's expecting her first child in March.
And as you can see, I'm 6.5 months pregnant.
Sadie is Director of Community Affairs for the New York City Public Schools. She says on her salary, several weeks of time off to bond with her new baby boy was not in her budget. But today, something arrived that Sadie was not expecting: paid parental leave, 6 weeks at 100% pay for all parents, women or men who have a baby, adopt, or bring home a foster child.
I cried tears of joy, truthfully, and every day my husband would just, it's okay, we'll figure it out, but secretly, I clenched my teeth because I wondered how it would happen.
It's a huge development for the 20,000 or so city workers and managers who, right after the new year, will be able to take paid maternity or paternity leave. It's also triggering conversations about tens of thousands of other unionized employees, widely considered to have terrific benefits, but who never had this.
The perception has been that this would be very costly, but what we were able to do was find a way to do it within our existing framework so that there's no net increase to the taxpayer.
Deputy Mayor Alicia Glenn says the plan will cost $15 million a year, which will be paid for by capping employee vacation days at 25 instead of 27. Richard Steyer edits a newspaper about New York City union issues.
It's something that the unions undoubtedly would want to pursue, but if the mayor is asking for some sort of concessions from managerial level employees, I'm sure he'd be asking them of the unions as well.
It's something Sadie says is worth bargaining for.
I'll be able to take a breath, actually come back to work really effective, not depressed, not stressed, not broke.
Melissa Russo, News 4, New York.
Suffolk County Police said the TSA are stepping up security at MacArthur Airport. You'll soon see more bomb-sniffing dogs there. Now, there hasn't been a threat against the airport, but officials say they want to do everything they can to ensure the safety of travelers. Detectives are interviewing potential witnesses and reviewing security video of a security breach at Kennedy Airport. Sources tell News 4 a man was spotted wandering onto a taxiway earlier this month. When a worker asked if he had a pass, the man held up a white piece of paper. He said he was looking for the A train. He warned the worker not to tell anyone and walked towards Terminal 8. He hasn't been seen since. Now to the war of words in Decision 2016. GOP frontrunner Donald Trump is kicking up his verbal attacks as he moves up in the polls. His target, Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton. Clinton seemingly welcomes it. Polls show if Trump would win the nomination right now, Clinton would win the presidency. News 4's Edward Lawrence joins us tonight from Washington.
Insiders say this is a strategy by both. Experts say Donald Trump galvanizes his support from people who want direct talk, and Hillary Clinton wants Trump to be the Republican nominee. Today in Iowa, Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail.
That's why it's important to stand up to bullies wherever they are, and why we shouldn't let anybody bully his way into the presidency.
She didn't mention Donald Trump mocking her for returning late from a bathroom break during Saturday's Democratic debate.
Sorry.
What happened to her? I'm watching the debate and she disappeared. I know where she went. It's disgusting.
Trump went on to use what some call vulgar language to describe how Clinton lost to Barack Obama in 2008. Republican strategist Matt Schlapp says this is Trump uncensored and why he still leads all Republican national polls.
No one's going to sit here in front of you and tell you that that operatives or people involved in campaigns would say, oh yeah, go out and use slang and profanity in talking about your potential opponent.
But it has worked to lock up Trump's frontrunner status in today's Quinnipiac poll. The tactic also pushed other voters to Senator Ted Cruz as he surges to second place.
I think it could easily end up being a two-man race. But between Donald Trump and me.
Political insiders say Clinton prods the war of words to elevate Trump.
Yeah, I think clearly she'd rather run against Donald Trump.
The Quinnipiac poll shows Clinton in a virtual dead heat in matchups with Senator Cruz and Senator Marco Rubio. But she would beat Trump by 7 points if the election were held today. We will no doubt be hearing more from Donald Trump. When he's verbally attacked, he usually one-ups his response. In Washington, Edward Lawrence, News 4 New York.
All right, Janice, this evening an updated Christmas forecast is straight ahead. We'll have a look at that and a look at the wild holiday weather across the country. Also, a court appearance for the truck driver charged in connection with a deadly accident that severely injured actor and comedian Tracy Morgan. And plus, the Elf on the Shelf emergency in New Jersey and the spirited response.
Hi, I'm Corporal Adam Passaro, stationed in Camp Arab-John, Kuwait. I want to say happy holidays to all my friends and family in Brooklyn, New York. Braden, Daddy loves you.
Attention, New Yorkers. It's time to choose a health insurance plan for 2016. So, for a limited time, you can get the coverage you need. Emblem Health offers high-quality plans at an affordable price. Call to find out about plan benefits such as $0 preventive care, low copays for prescription drugs, and money back on gym memberships. We even have a new plan with a $20 or $0 premium if you qualify. See if Emblem Health is right for you. To enroll, to find a mobile center in your area, or to schedule an appointment, call toll-free 1-866-300-6458. This year, you must enroll by January 31st, so don't miss out. Be sure to call today, 1-866-300-6458, or visit emblemhealth.com/now9.
The emotional burden of debt. Not everyone can understand it. The worry, the endless collection calls. We know what it's like to be in your shoes. We're the providers of Care One Debt Relief Services. We know because Bernie Dansell, who created Care One, overcame his battle with debt. And because we've helped over 5 million people just like you. We help consolidate your unsecured debt into one affordable monthly payment. For your free personalized plan, call our certified credit counselors or visit careoneworks.com.
Or get a $129 per month lease on Nissan Sentra. Shop your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com.
New York State has unveiled new plows designed to boost snow removal efforts on its roads. The Department of Transportation says more than 60 vehicles known as tow plows will be deployed this winter. Tow plows attach as trailers to the back of large DOT dump trucks, typically used as plows. So the tow plow can be adjusted to swing out to the side of the truck. It's used along with the front-mounted plow. The vehicles can clear 2 travel lanes at the same time. All right, now this is a live look right here at the Rockefeller Christmas tree tonight, in the moment, on this first day of winter. Looks pretty good. Looks like Christmas, doesn't it? Everyone's in the New York Christmas spirit. You see ice skaters on the rink right there. The only thing you don't see, and you probably could, is people skating in shorts tonight. Temperatures in the balmy 60s outside right now. Out west, the skiing couldn't be better. NBC's Leon Gregg on the mixed bag of winter weather.
At this Tahoe resort, just what skiers ordered. More than 150 inches of snow so far from a series of winter storms across the Northwest.
This is fantastic. It's great. Hasn't been like this in 4 years.
Especially good news for this drought-stricken region.
I think this is great. Yeah. California needs it.
Driven by El Nino, different extremes in the east. From New York to Chicago, more like spring than the first week of winter.
It's nice when you have a white Christmas.
We're not going to have that this year.
No, we're not. We're going to have a wet Christmas, but a merry one.
Challenging for eastern resorts and snow-related businesses struggling because of the weather.
This ridge in the jet stream will bring unprecedented warmth through Christmas. We are looking at high temperatures 30 degrees above average. Dozens of records will be crushed across more than half the country.
From the south into the Ohio Valley, this week also brings the threat of destructive thunderstorms, capable of producing tornadoes and large hail. Heavy rains could cause flash flooding. Snow, possible tornadoes, and record highs, an eventful beginning to winter. Leanne Gregg, News 4 New York.
All right, Janice Huff is here now. Janice, the reason for this is the El Nino in the Pacific, right? It causes extreme weather conditions around the globe.
That's exactly right. It may not seem like it would affect the weather worldwide, but what happens in the oceans affects the air above it. And when we see abnormally warm temperatures over the oceans, it affects the way the jet stream moves. And that's what guides weather systems across the country. In an El Nino situation, it's usually mild in the east, coldest in the west, and that's what's been happening over the last several weeks. The west has been getting bombarded with snow and rain, but they need that there. The snowpack needs to build so they'll have water later in the year. Even though they're seeing some flooding and other unusual conditions, they need that rain and that snow. Here in the east, we generally, especially in the northeast, it tends to be mild. But this is going to go down, at least for the last several months, as probably the warmest fall on record. We're on tap to be the warmest December on record in the tri-state area, because this is an unusually strong El Nino, probably the strongest they've ever seen. There's more rain in the forecast, and since we've been in such a deficit for months, we can really use that. And the rain that happened today, that's moved on. The next wave that comes through tomorrow is much heavier than what we saw today. So warm weather will continue too, and that's going to be the story going into the holidays. The warm conditions and the record highs that we're expecting. Right now, temperatures are mainly in the 50s and low 60s. It's like springtime, and it's winter officially now. That happened last night. North and west of the city, the temperatures are in the upper 40s. Very warm, unusually mild. These temperatures are not far from today's highs. These are the highs today, and you can see even as far north as Monticello. Every location in the tri-state area had temperatures above 50 degrees, and in some cases above 60 today. Live radar is quiet now. Nothing happening out there on the radar. The heaviest rain from earlier today has now moved up into New England and offshore. But we are tracking more moisture along the Gulf Coast and along the Carolina coast. And because this front is slowing down, all of this will ride along the front and get in here tomorrow morning and into the afternoon. So between now and Wednesday midday, we're not expecting much. A little bit of drizzle, a little bit of fog, some light showers. But after 2 o'clock in the afternoon into Wednesday evening, we'll start to pick up on those totals. So anywhere from a ½ inch to almost an inch of rain by this time tomorrow night, and even more as we go into Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon. Maybe as much as an inch will have fallen across the area. And then there's the temperatures. So we'll track those. Watch these numbers climb as we go through tonight and into tomorrow and Thursday. By Thursday morning at 2, before we even get the sun, look at the 70s. They're already moving into interior New Jersey. This warm air is being ejected in, and then we'll see the record highs on Christmas Eve. And possibly even Christmas Day, we might even have a few. The record for Christmas Eve in Central Park is 72. The record is 63. We're expecting 72. The record on Christmas Day is 64, and we'll come close to that too. So the unusual mild stretch will continue, and it's not just here. It's up and down the eastern seaboard for the holidays, and then we cool to the 50s by Saturday, but that's still about 15 degrees above average, Sean?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Incredible.
Get your shorts out. Get ready. Santa will be wearing shorts.
Our sports director, Bruce Beck, always sends pictures from his Christmas week vacation in the Grand Caymans or somewhere, somewhere beautiful on a beach. I think I'm going to take a picture on Thursday and send it to him.
Yeah.
How about that?
Sure.
All right, Janice, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Will Santa Claus visit a little girl who's 7 years old named Izzy in Old Bridge this year? We asked that question because Izzy touched an elf on the shelf, a big no-no, threatening the Christmas magic it is supposed to bring. News 4 New Jersey reporter Brian Thompson has an exclusive report from Izzy's living room to tell us if Santa is coming.
That will go this way.
Izzy, Isabella, points to the two elves safely tucked in these stockings in the La Peruta living room.
It was an emergency. I was very nervous.
You see, somehow, one of the elves on a shelf ended up on the floor while Mom was sleeping, Izzy making a desperate call to 911.
Hello? Isabella.
Hi, Isabella. Why are you calling 911?
Then, suddenly, this little girl panicked.
Don't come to my house, don't.
Okay.
Her elf was in trouble.
Yes, I was trying to call my dad, but he called you an accident.
You could just say you made a mistake, okay?
She tells me now that she was throwing a ball and accidentally hit her elf. But police came to this door worried that she was in real trouble. Mom, Lynn Ann, woke from sleep to see her daughter trying to shoo the cop away.
She was hysterical crying. She was panicking.
I didn't want to get in trouble.
The officer radioed headquarters.
504 to headquarters. Go ahead, 50. Okay, Isabella apologizes. He touched her elf on the shelf. She won't call 911 again.
Police, with their own Christmas cheer to hand out, are understanding.
To her, it was an emergency where she touched the elf and she's going to ruin Christmas. So that was her emergency.
So she did right.
In her mind, she did right, and it was fine with us.
And Izzy learned her lesson with Santa.
He knows I'm not going to do that again.
So yes, Izzy, there is a Santa Claus. And just possibly later tonight, there may be an extra surprise for you. I'll have that story at 11. In Old Bridge, Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
Izzy, you did the right thing. We'll have to watch for that story over on NBC4 at 11 o'clock tonight. Well, coming up in the next half hour of News 4 at 7, actor Tony Roberts joins us to talk about his new book, and it's a good read. But first, the search for the Grinch that cut Christmas lights in one New Jersey town. And Governor Cuomo heading into surgery. We'll tell you why. But first, our top story. 2 people under arrest for a violent attack on a blind Salvation Army bell ringer. Why they say they did it and why that bell ringer is back on the job tonight.
Never miss a headline from News 4 New York. Get breaking news, I-Team investigations, and the most up-to-date forecast from Storm Team 4 right in your inbox. Go to NBCNewYork.com and click on the Contact Us tab to sign up.
You know what I want to do? I want to wake up this hallway. Add a fireplace and maybe a chaise to the living room. Put the finishing touches on the dining room. And enjoy this beautiful home I've created with the ones I love. That's what I want to do, with a little help from Raymore and Flanagan.
Welcome to the second half hour of News 4 at 7. I'm John Chandler. Police in Westchester say these 2 people attacked and viciously beat a blind Salvation Army bell ringer. The reason? The victim allegedly cut them in line at a burger restaurant in the town of Greenburgh. News 4's Andrew Siff spoke with the victim, who's back on the job raising money for the needy. It's our top story at 7:30 from White Plains.
41-year-old Jermaine Simmons, a disabled volunteer who is legally blind, had just been ringing his bell. Moments later, he got his bell rung.
He swung his right hand at me real hard, so hard that I dropped the bucket. I was seeing blood that was coming out my nose, my head, and even my eyes.
Police say the man who assaulted Simmons is 30-year-old Juan Rodriguez of Valhalla. He allegedly got help from 21-year-old Adriana Wignall of Mount Vernon. She cried today after her arraignment on felony assault charges. Police and prosecutors ordered the pair jailed. since both have past criminal records. Rodriguez with 8 prior arrests, including several violent assaults. In this case, police say he even used the Salvation Army kettle in the assault that left Simmons with a broken cheek and nose.
He did hit me in the head with the bucket.
Absolutely brutal, vicious assault, and he's charged accordingly.
All of this unfolded inside the busy Smash Burger on the Saturday before Christmas. Simmons said Rodriguez accused him of cutting the line, and they exchanged words.
He got in my face, I got in his face, and then there was pushing.
Shoppers we talked to disgusted anyone would hit a disabled worker. Who would do that kind of thing?
Lunatics. That's about it.
While Simmons' supervisor is impressed, he's already back on the job. What does it say about his dedication that he got his face beat in and he's back out there?
Man, this is a brave guy.
I could have just said, you know what, I'm not coming back. I'm a coward. I'm stupid. I'm dumb. But like I said, it's a job and it needs to be done. Somebody has to do it.
Now, police and prosecutors ramped up the charges from what was a misdemeanor to felony assault, and that's the reason the bail is higher as well. The two are being held in the Westchester County Jail, one on $25,000 bail, the other on $20,000. Both are due back in court on January 5th. In White Plains, Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
A New Jersey woman faces assault charges following an all-out brawl over a mall parking space. Kenya Nicholas King of Teaneck was arrested after police say she attacked an 18-year-old woman during a dispute at the Garden State Plaza Mall on Saturday. The victim was waiting for a parking spot when Nicholas King allegedly cut her off and took the spot. The pair started arguing, and that's when police say the suspect grabbed a pipe and bashed the woman in the head.
It's not worth getting arrested and over a fight over something silly like that.
I think everybody needs to calm down around this time of year. Obviously, there's a lot of stresses in general, but, you know, if everybody just takes a deep breath, they can probably get through it just fine.
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I think you should be a little bit more courteous.
Some good advice. Police say Nicholas King was stopped by an officer and placed under arrest before she left the parking garage. An early morning house fire in Brooklyn killed a 93-year-old woman. It broke out at 1:30 a.m. in a 3-story apartment building on 79th Street in Bay Ridge. Firefighters found the victim in cardiac arrest on the 3rd floor. She was pronounced dead at Lutheran Medical Center. The fire department is now investigating what caused the fire. And it was a scary morning in Brooklyn after a pile driver overturned and collapsed at a construction site. It happened in Sheepshead Bay just after 9 this morning behind a construction fence on Voorhees Avenue. Riders on the elevated train nearby heard a loud boom at the time of the collapse. Investigators are looking into what caused the machinery to malfunction. Fortunately, no one at the site was hurt. And in Brooklyn, police are looking for the woman who taunted and slashed 2 people on the A train Friday night. News 4's Ida Siegel has more from the J Street Metrotech section in downtown Brooklyn.
It was early evening, 7 p.m., a crowded downtown A train with this woman on board. Police say she got into an argument with 2 other passengers as the train approached the J Street station. Then things got physical when the woman in yellow pulled out a sharp object and slashed the passengers, a 28-year-old woman and a 48-year-old man. A startling attack that has concerned strap hangers today.
Me? Oh, I feel like so scared now. We have to watch ourselves in the subway.
The photo of the suspect comes from a cell phone camera that recorded the entire incident. We are not able to show the video, but on it you can hear the suspect taunting the couple, saying, "I'm going to cut you and I'm going to get away with it." Then she blows air kisses toward the person filming. But then she lunges forward with the sharp object.
She's punching him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very violent.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him doing anything to her. If you didn't know her, she would look like she was some kind of model. The way that she's fashionably trying to conduct herself, she looks at, so you can never judge a book by its cover.
Police say the victim suffered minor injuries in their face and head. They eventually got off the train at Nostrand Avenue. The woman in yellow got away. Tonight, folks are carefully studying her bright clothing to see if they remember seeing her. Never saw her around.
I have not seen her. She looks like kind of familiar.
The 2 victims refused medical attention. Physically, we're told that they are okay. But again, police are still searching for that female suspect. She is 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, has that yellow coat and the bright red bag. Reporting from downtown Brooklyn, Ida Siegel, News 4, New York.
All right, Ida, if you have any information about this, call Crime Stoppers at the number there on your screen, 1-800-577-TIPS. You can also go online at nypdcrimestoppers.com. You could receive a reward. Police say a Grinch in Wyckoff, New Jersey has been cutting the wires to Christmas lights there. Police say the culprit has left 5 locations in the dark so far. They're investigating the incidents as vandalism. Well, the big rig driver charged in connection with the deadly accident that severely injured comedian Tracy Morgan and killed Morgan's friend was in a New Jersey court today. The lawyer for Kevin Roper asked that the case against his client be thrown out. News 4's Michael George reports tonight from New Brunswick.
Former Walmart truck driver Kevin Roper didn't speak in court, but his lawyer told us Roper can't get a fair trial. Why? Because of all the publicity over the civil trial and comedian Tracy Morgan's public comeback, including appearances on the Today Show.
I have my good days and my bad days where I forget things.
How do you win the hearts and minds in civil proceedings? Well, you have your plaintiff appearing on national and worldwide television and in the print media talking about his injuries, his recovery.
An NTSB investigation found Roper hadn't slept for 28 straight hours and failed to slow down when his truck hit Morgan's limo van back in June of 2014. Morgan's best friend, James McNair, was killed, and Morgan was left with a traumatic brain injury. His recovery has been a struggle. He finally returned to comedy in October, making a comeback as host on Saturday Night Live.
People were wondering, can he speak? Does he have 100% mental capacity? But the truth is, I never did.
A grand jury is still considering whether to indict Roper on charges of death by auto and assault by auto. If they do, Roper's attorney told us they'll immediately ask the judge to dismiss, saying any criminal jury will already be biased against his client.
How do you recover from the type of publicity that was generated by that civil action?
And prosecutors tell me a grand jury decision on charges could come as early as tomorrow. In New Brunswick, Michael George, News 4 New York.
The families of more than a dozen victims of the Newtown school shooting will split a $1.5 million settlement from the estate of the gunman's mother. The victims' families filed a lawsuit against the estate of Nancy Lanza. The lawsuit claims she failed to secure the rifle her son Adam used to kill 20 first graders and 6 teachers 3 years ago. Nancy Lanza was Adam's first victim. A recent family game of basketball landed Governor Cuomo in the hospital. Cuomo underwent surgery in New York City today to fix ligament damage to his right hand. The governor tore the ligament playing hoops with his younger brother, Chris, who tweeted that the governor will be fine. Administration officials did not say where he was treated or offer any further details about the one-on-one game that led to his injury. Still ahead tonight, we have the details on Santa days before his big trip. Plus, Santa has Rudolph show off his flying skills. Kids, you want to stick around for that. But first, Tony Roberts joins us to talk about his memoir, Do You Know Me? Chances are you do, especially if you grew up in the 70s and 80s. That conversation, and it should be a good one, in just 2 minutes.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air. Happy holidays!
Welcome back. Tony Roberts is a 2-time Tony nominee with an unforgettable face. He was everywhere and in just about every show you could think of, and now he's thinking about taking us down his long, illustrious career in his memoir called Do You Know Me? Tony Roberts, such a pleasure to have you in studio here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you for being here. Do You Know Me is the title of the memoir. I think for anybody who grew up around a television or around the business in the 70s and 80s, of course we know you.
Well, there are a lot of people who think I'm related to them. Maybe that's where the title came from, because people would come up and say, aren't you my cousin? I know you. You live in Ohio. And I would say, no. I said, I'm an actor. And they said, no, you're my cousin from Ohio. And I'd have to take out my driver's license sometimes to prove them that I wasn't their cousin from Ohio. So it seemed like an appropriate title.
I mean, you were everywhere in the 70s and 80s. TV, movies, the stage, The Love Boat, Matlock. I mean, the Carol Burnett show. The list is very long. Yet, I think you always had a character that just felt relatable to people. Maybe that's why people always ask you.
Well, I hope whatever it was, it worked for me for a long time, and I had some great stories to tell, so I thought I would put them into a book and tell them mostly to fellow actors and people who want to be actors. And when I finished writing it and then reading it, I realized I'd written a book that's about acting and for people who want to do it. And that's who I think the book will appeal to the most. I hope so.
You worked alongside so many greats. Obviously, Woody Allen is one that comes to mind. You guys were, you know, paired together in so many different roles and so many different films. And what was it like working alongside him? At some point, did you guys just become familiar with each other and you just knew, you didn't have to do much prep work? It was almost like you were working with a brother?
Well, it took a long time because we didn't know each other before we started working together. And when we did, we were both a little bit shy of each other. I was in awe of his career as a comedian. And he was just naturally very shy, so it took a long time. And actually, it took the length of an entire Broadway run before we really started to hang around together. But eventually, we were comfortable in each other's presence. And somehow or other, he was able to translate that affability or that give and take or that towel snapping thing that guys do when they're friends, and the nicknames and Max and all that stuff. And it just seemed to be very natural.
Was there anyone who it was natural working alongside from the moment you started?
Well, Al Pacino was pretty real in Serpico, and easy to relate to, and
Why was that?
serious about the work. Serpico was 1973, I'm pretty sure, and I think that was about the third film that I made. But he was a very exciting, intense guy to work with, and I was happy to do that. But the nicest guy I think I ever worked with was Rock Hudson. God, was he a lovely man, just marvelous.
How difficult was it to leave stories out of your memoir? Because I mean, you're not working with an unlimited space.
Well, I'm not accustomed to having written a book, so sometimes I think, you know, I'm not sure whether I left that story in or I took that story out. Maybe I should read it again and find out what I left in, because I took out so many things over the course of 15 years of writing it that some of it's lost in the closet, and some of it I made a decision not to use, and other things I think. And then I keep thinking of things I wish I had put in. So maybe there'll be a part 2 to Do You Know Me again.
It's funny, as I look at the pictures behind us, and you said before we were starting here that you saw the picture with Carol Burnett and Bernadette Peters there.
Yeah.
You didn't remember that moment?
I was sitting next to Bernadette Peters last night in the theater. We went to the opening of Fiddler on the Roof, which is wonderful, with Danny Burstein. Marvelous show. And, of course, we said hello to one another, but it never occurred to me sitting there that we had worked together on the Carol Burnett show whatever that was, 20 years ago, I guess. Maybe I'm flattering myself. Maybe it was 30 years. I don't know. I'm not sure. But it was nice to see her.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
And, you know, your book is getting some fantastic reviews. I think in particular, people call it a must-read for aspiring actors. Is that about the best compliment that you can get?
Yes, because I loved acting all my life. It was sort of what I wanted to do from the time I was a wee lad. And I had my ups and downs and my successes and failures. And I wanted to pass a lot of that on to people who are aspiring to be actors, because it's a worthy endeavor, I think. And I had the pleasure to study with one of the great acting teachers of all time, a woman named Alvina Krauss at Northwestern University. And she was everything I had been led to expect that she would be. Very inspiring and very committed, and very of the belief that theater is the last best chance to change the world. And she had many illustrious students: Charlton Heston, Patricia Neal, Jeffrey Hunter, Inga Swenson, Paula Prentice, Richard Benjamin, Penny Fuller, Lawrence Pressman. Very long list.
It's a long list.
But she had a way of imbuing us with a belief in the quality of good theater and what it could do to change people.
55 years as an actor, and I get the sense you're not done yet.
I hope not. I hope not.
Do You Know Me is the memoir. Pick it up. You can find it at Amazon, other fine bookstores.
Thank you.
Tony Roberts, we appreciate you coming by and sharing some memories with us.
Thanks so much.
So great to have you in studio.